What's up, War Room? Welcome back. Joe and Connor here. War Room episode talking all about the quarterback position. We got a collection of Discord questions about prospectively keeping Aaron Rodgers, the cap implications of that. We're going to do an episode with good friend Jason from Over the Cap before the regular season ends to talk money specifics with Rodgers, Devontae, and all of that. We're going to more talk about him from a personnel perspective. Also got a lot of questions about quarterbacks in the draft and bridge quarterbacks. So going to take 20 minutes or so here to talk the QB position. And if you haven't yet, check out the rewatchables of the Monday Night Miracle hosted by Paul and Will, available to War Room subscribers or a one-off purchase if you're just a deep dive subscriber. Great watch, bonus War Room episode. And our pod is live from last night where we talk about more of the current state of the team going into the annual Tank Bowl. And of course, your regular reminder, promo code Badlands with Underdog Fantasy to put in all of your unders for Jets Jaguars. You know, it's an unders game. It's a lowers game. So you use the promo code Badlands. Go in that direction, and I think you'll be in good shape. Last I saw, the Jets are actually 3-point favorites, but should be a close one, and we know how the Jets do in close games. Anyway, CR, are you excited to talk about the Jets potentially drafting a quarterback? Yet again, the draft guide needs the quarterback position. Bring it back.
I'm really not, because I just don't think the Jets will be picking in range for Cam Ward. If they are, I like Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders, there's so much to unpack with that situation. I don't think Dion wants him going to the New York teams. And honestly, I'm fine with that. So after that, you're talking about projects. So if the Jets aren't in range for Cam Ward, which they most likely won't be, and then it's projects, I'd rather just get a good player that's a foundational piece for the team. And I genuinely would let Tyrod play next year if that's the options. So, but I mean, it's a real conversation to have because it's not just a 2-quarterback class. Even developmental guys are interesting. There's pro options. I mean, it's something the Jets have to figure out, and it's going to leave a lot of people sitting here. Well, do they dare bring Rodgers back if that's the case? And we know there's about 10 more layers to unpack there.
Well, let's start with the second tier of quarterbacks in the draft, right? I don't think any of us see a world where the Jets are drafting Sanders. We could be wrong, but I don't see it happening. We know if there's an opportunity where the last few games go a certain way, Ward will be under serious consideration. We know you're a fan of him. Beyond that, what are the other names that you could potentially talk about? There's a lot of chatter about the Penn State quarterback coming out of
Allar.
last weekend. Yep. And then there's a couple other guys who could go late first round, could go second round. Why don't we start with Allar and then work through some other names? Milrow's been another one that's been paired with the Jets a lot. I think Allar, Milrow is where I see the most questions come through for us to discuss. And then is there any other quarterbacks worth discussing beyond those top 4, quote unquote, let's call them?
So Allar's the wild card in all of this because I wouldn't put him in the bucket of the next tier after Ward and Sanders that I mentioned to open the show, where I think Milrow needs the redshirt year. We don't know what Quinn Ewers is going to do. Carson Beck hasn't had a good year. On and on it goes at Georgia. I should try to remember to say the schools of these guys because I know everybody doesn't watch college football. Allar is the wild card because when I watched all the quarterbacks this summer, I had him as QB 12 with his going off his sophomore film. But knowing at 6'5", 240, good arm, like a big recruit, a lot of promise, that he was going to get better, but it was how much better. When we do summer scouting, we strictly go off the previous year's film. We try not to project too much. To put in perspective, when I did summer scouting, I said this, I said, I have no first round grades on any of these guys. And that's coming off a summer, a year removed from a summer where I said confidently, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, like first rounder. And then we know Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy played their way into the first round. So movement happens a lot, but also negative movement happens a lot. Then Carson Beck has taken steps backward. Connor Wegman from Texas A&M, he took steps backward. So while Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Allar have taken steps forward. But Allar, to me, is a guy that I would really like to see him go back to school because he's the trajectory he is on, the jumps he has made from his sophomore year to his junior year, while still having raw aspects of his game or inconsistencies of his game, can be cleaned up to the point where he'd be a number 1 overall pick. And people listening are probably like, well, if you look at him on that trajectory, that means an NFL team is going to take him in the top 10. And you're right. If Drew Aller declares, I think there's a world where he goes all the way up into the top 10 of the draft. And it's not that he should, based on what he's going to do for you today, but he plays quarterback, and it's what he's going to do for you in the future. That's why the Vikings took J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, and then why they already had Sam Darnold. They were going to go into the year and play Sam Darnold, depending where McCarthy was in his development. The Falcons took Michael Penix when they already had Kirk Cousins. This is what a lot of teams do. The Patriots didn't want to play Drake May. They wanted to play Jacoby Brissett, and eventually their hand was forced. So Allar will go somewhere. Say the Jets pick 7th, right? And Allar does have this meteoric rise, and the GM the Jets hire falls in love with Allar's ability, which I would understand, the tools and the traits. And I really need to do a deeper dive. We're starting with wide receivers on Stock Exchange, so I'm going to be 25 wide receivers deep in 2 days. I've been watching them all week, but we will do quarterbacks within the month, and I'll have the whole class top to bottom on this year's film, not the previous year's film. But then you look at it and go, Tyrod Taylor's going to start, and they're going to try to get Allar ready or somebody like that. So that's the wild card in all of this, but I'm not sold he's declaring. I haven't been given any indication he's declaring. Things get crazy when it's a weak quarterback class and a guy can capitalize off of it. And it's a really, he's the guy, though, that like the range of outcomes, it can really change this whole thing up.